Namaste. Today we'll be looking at the exposition of the 40th Sutra of Sadhana Pada, which talks about the root of Shaucha. Shaucha is the first niyama. The niyamas that we have seen in the earlier classes were 5. The 5 niyamas are Shaucha, Santosha, Tapah, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Out of these 5 niyamas, this sutra, sutra number 40, talks about the benefit or the result of following shaucha, especially the shaucha or the cleanliness related to the physical aspects. We have known from the previous class that shaucha relates to both the physical cleanliness and the mental purity, isn't it? So this sutra, specifically 40, talks about the cleanliness of the physical aspect. Okay, let's now look at Shauchat, which means you all know that it relates to cleanliness or purification. Okay, Shauchat, Swaanga. Swa means self, right? Which relates to one's own self. Swa. Anga is part of the body. Okay, our own parts of the body. Swa-anga. Jugupsa means the aversion that one has towards their own body parts. Because of the jugupsa means the aversion. Aversion means the kind of feeling that body is impure because we are cleaning it on a daily basis. The one who's paying a very keen attention to this understands that nothing in the body is clean. If we don't clean it regularly, it kind of is dirty. Even after cleaning it to a great extent also, we still know that the body carries a lot of dirt. I think all of you agree with this. So jugupsa is the aversion that one gets with their own body because they are seeing the body through the 9 dwaras or the navadwaras from which there is mala secreted. Apart from those 9 main dwaras which secrete mala, we have millions of sweat, the little pores that we have for the sweat to secrete. Right? All of them are emitting mala. And a yogi who's following shaucha to an extent where he is able to see all of this, what is happening with the body, the functions that it does, where the excretory aspect and the production of dirt from the body parts becomes quite obvious and clear in his understanding. So I know the body is dirty. We are cleaning it on a daily basis. That is the kind of understanding that he gets. Because of that, the clarity that he has on the body, he is very clear that me following all these code of regulations through the yogic practices, I myself am not finding my body to be clean. How can I get attracted towards others? Getting it? Paraira means with others. Samsargaha, he wouldn't be attached. Because people who are practicing yogic techniques, those who understand these aspects really well, know for sure that the body at no point in time is clean. It is carrying germs, it is secreting dirt, it has a lot of mala in it, though we do all kinds of practices. For such a person with that kind of understanding, he gets averted. I mean, he doesn't like to be in physical proximity or association with anybody else. That is the kind of understanding when one understands the shaucha aspect. Okay, they become indifferent towards their own body and also are never attached to others because of the clarity in their mind about the body. Okay, so this kind of aversion develops only when they practice shaucha. And that is a stepping stone for, the other aspects. When one has to separate things and make it clear, these work as the preliminary foundations, right? These are not like built in the air like castles, right? We see it happening through the science that we have studied or different aspects of the body that we learn. We know for sure that that is true. It is dirty. It is dirty if it has to be constantly cleaned, maintained, right? But still there is dirt in the body. And when one understands this, associating with other bodies is like beyond their scope. They don't feel attached, or there's no attachment with others. Okay, there's no inclination to have any contact with other bodies. That is the feeling that they have. This is only because of seeing the true nature of the body. The yogi will completely lose the attraction towards body first. Okay, this is the contemplative truth about the unmentionable aspects, attributes of one's own body. Okay, that is why the yogi kind of becomes dispassionate towards his own body. It doesn't mean that he doesn't keep himself clean. He is doing everything that should make his body clean. He wants to, because he knows that this is impure and this is impermanent also. Okay, anything that is impure is not the purity, right? We know Purusha is the purest aspect. And when we know that body is emitting all these malas, it can never be something which is permanent. So attachment with the body is gone when you get this kind of understanding. Okay, body is utilized as a good vehicle or a means to attain the goal of realization of Purusha and not for any other purpose. So this sutra is making that aspect again very emphatic and clear. Right? Is this clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So however attractive one might be from the exterior, right? However beautiful, like the most beautiful man or woman on the earth, but still they have a dirty body. They have to maintain it. Even if they maintain it, that is not lasting. They have to keep doing it again and again, right? When that is the case, why do one get attached to the body? There's no point in getting attached to the body. Maintain the body for the reason that one has to realize Purusha, the pure consciousness which resides in that body. Just for realizing that you need the body. Okay. So because of observing all this aspect, like he becomes very clear as body to be a major flaw. Like it has flaws, it has dirt. So never get attached towards the body. That attachment is reduced every single day when he thinks about shaucha, cleaning. So going to the 41st sutra now.
Also beautifying it, ma'am, maintaining it, after one point we will develop abnivesha or fear of death or decay of the body.
Yeah, because we are very possessive, right?
Yeah.
We don't look at the body for the right reasons. We look at the body with a very wrong reason, right? We feel that we own it. We look at it from that angle. We don't understand that it is a vehicle or it is a means for realizing the purity. Do we ever look at it that way?
No, ma'am.
We never look at it that way. We only look at it for maintaining that I-ness, right? This is my body. These are my contours. This is how I am. This is how I'm interacting with the world. These are my belongings. This is my face. This is my complexion. This is what we know. Right? Do we relate to any other aspect apart from this? To be very honest, anybody who has really looked at the body in a different way?
No, ma'am.
Honestly,
Different
Didi,
way
no.
means how to.
For the purpose, you are all in the yoga field, right? You are all yogis practicing yoga, but how do you view your own body?
Ideally, it should be, as you well said, it is a vehicle for upliftment of our soul, but
How
practically we
do we
don't
look
see
at
that
it?
way.
Like, I'm
Yes.
talking about the practical aspect. Like, do we have anybody in this group who looks at the body in a different way, or as a means of reaching Purusha?
Not really, ma'am.
Not
Then
really,
where
yes.
did this come? So why I'm being so like I'm pressing this? Because if we lose this identity, you will be put on to a proper track. You will know what is the purpose of the body very well, and you will not identify with it. You will keep it safe to an extent where you know this is what is helping you to get to a better state of mind. Your state of consciousness is improving every day. You are going closer towards understanding that purity, but nothing else. There is nothing else to it, right? If we are digressing to something else, it means we are again getting entangled. We are getting attached to the body. We are getting attached to the body means there are so many requirements of the body. Getting it?
True, ma'am. True.
Most beautiful person also will have all kinds of malas. Actually, they paint themselves in that way, but they are not like that. There is so much of physical impurity and also a lot of mental impurity. So these aspects have to be very, very carefully pondered upon. Don't leave these aspects. Understand these aspects to an extent where you internalize them. Okay. So again, now the 41st sutra talks about the Shaucha aspect only. Now, fruits of the external purificatory practices, like we have seen the body cleansing aspects, right? One knows that body secretes all these things. So through Shaucha, you will develop aversion towards your own body, which is a stepping stone for understanding. Somebody's mic is not muted. Please check that and mute your mic. So, you know from the previous sutra that body is not clean. When you understand the fact, you don't get associated with your own body and do not develop any attachment with others' body. Okay, because body is dirty, it is temporary. It is only a means to reach Purusha. So, when there is this kind of understanding, this helps in the preparation for transcending the physical identity, isn't it? And it is helping the mind also become purer. When you're able to transcend the physical identity, that is when you can go to the mind. Otherwise, you will keep lingering on the body aspect itself, right? So this sutra is leading us to the mental purity, because one has tackled the physical cleanliness and has perfected it, understood that there's no attachment required. They can now dwell on the mental shuddhi. So the purificatory practice is related to the mind. Sattva shuddhi saumanasya. This is giving the fruit, directly the fruit of mental purification. What is it saying? Sattva shuddhi. So what is sattva? Sattva is a guna, right? We've all known that sattva is a guna. Now, what is sattva shuddhi? What are they referring here? They are referring to the purificatory practices of the mind. Okay, purity of the mental personality. That is what sattva shuddhi means. Purification of the mental personality is sattva shuddhi. Saumanasya. What is saumanasya? Saumanasya is having a goodness of the mind. Okay, what kind of goodness? That kind of goodness which gives cheer, that kind of goodness which gives happiness, okay, which gives a pleasant feeling. Understanding? So, saumanasya is that. which gives a pleasantness. Ekagra, this is also one of the aspects that results through the mental purity. You will be able to concentrate on a particular aspect, single pointed focus, ekagrata. You will be able to develop one pointedness or intentness on concentrating on one particular aspect. That is what you get. You don't get distracted. You're understanding how it cuts the fringes. And then Indriya Jaya. It will also help you in controlling the temptations of the senses. You will be able to get a victory over your senses. Complete victory over your senses. Indriya Jaya. And it is also helpful for, which is the most important thing, it is helpful for self-realization. Atma Darshana, you will be able to realize your own self. Okay. Yogyatwanicha. So what does it do? It makes you fit. It makes you fit. What makes you fit? The purification of the mind makes you fit, with which one can attain the cheerfulness or the pleasantness of the mind, the single-pointed focus or one-pointedness in their work. They can control their sense organs and also get a complete self-realization. So these are the 5 aspects which result from Shaucha, mental purity. Okay. Now, what exactly happens to the mind? Can you just think what exactly happens to the mind when this is going on in the mind?
First, there will be number of issues when we are thinking what is going on in our mind. Then slowly it will reduce.
Vrittis is a word that I could hear, but I couldn't understand the sentence itself.
First, when we are focusing about what is going on in our mind, first mostly we get more vrittis, I think. After that, slowly it will reduce. By focusing more, it leads to reduce those vrittis, I think.
Yeah. So when this purification of the malas is happening, especially that which relates to the mind, we are developing samyak jnana. Samyak jnana is what? The right knowledge, right? How did we develop the right knowledge? We understood that the body is impure, right? That has helped us to an extent to understand that there are malas, and mentally also we have accumulated a lot of dirt, right? Through the vrittis, the kleshas, the vasanas, the samskaras that we have a lot of dirt in the mind also. By understanding and developing the right knowledge, which is the samyak jnana, about the inherent nature of the body. Okay, about the inherent nature of the body. What is the inherent nature of the body? That it is dirty. Okay, and the mind then starts to realize its internal states. The mind then starts to realize its internal states. It knows that through the mind, which has originally it has a sattva state. What does the buddhi have? Sattva, right? We all understood that the buddhi has sattva guna. When these impurities are cleared up, the buddhi in itself is very, very sattvic. So the nature of the buddhi is pleasant. The person will be able to witness that pleasantness. Okay. So as a result of all that, a person will not get distracted by anything. A person will always look cheerful. A person will not get tempted towards all the sensual, the lures that are around. Right? So this mental purity is making the person fit for all these aspects. So there are a lot of important aspects which relate to the mental psychology here, like the malas, which are like I can say, a state of mind which is like intoxicated with false knowledge. We know our knowledge now because we are learning this. We very clearly know that we don't have the right knowledge of so many things, right? We don't have the right knowledge of so many things. Our mind is intoxicated with false knowledge. We know it for sure, right? Especially about the aspects which are related to body and our own identity. So with this kind of mala, and we also get into emotional frenzy. Like, for example, there's a very violent emotion coming up in the mind, right? Sometimes we get excessively agitated. So these are all what? Emotional frenzies. Like, we tend to sway or swing with those emotions, isn't it? So we are troubled emotionally, and usually this has an impact on the behavior and our whole existence. And then we develop arrogance, which is called mother, and we have excessive pride in our own self, like to the point where we also try to force our opinion on others. Like, we take our own abilities to such a high extent that we try to forcefully put our opinion into others. So these are all the kind of things that we see, right? Generally, these are all because of the false identity that we have created for our own self. And the quality of being unpleasantly proud about our own self. Okay, so we behave as if we are more important. We all do this. We all do this. These are called as malas of the mind. Okay, and we are also experiencing jealousy at various phases, stages of life, right? That jealousy is called irsha. Okay, irsha is like a very complex emotion. I can say it creates a lot of mental unsteadiness, isn't it? We feel that a person's possessions or a person himself is a threat to us. Getting it? Only when we pursue the other person in such a way, then we feel jealous of the person. We feel that the other person's possessions or the person himself or herself is a threat. Okay, that is why we feel jealous of somebody. So it's a very complex emotion, and all these things are all clogged in our brain like dirt. So they are so I can say deeply rooted, like these stains in a fabric which is nice and clean. So mind is like a white cloth, and think the white cloth is now dirty because of the stains of tea, stains of other things which are like completely rooted into the weaves of the fabric. They're not easy to bring out, isn't it? So it has that kind of impact. Now, by cultivating the opposite virtues, like we have seen, right? We have seen in the earlier sutras, like vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. So understand these things and create the opposite attitude, cultivate the opposite attitudes like maitri, karuna, mudita, upeksha. These kind of attitudes, know that the mind is dirty first and create opposite attitudes. That is a way of handling these aspects, especially those that relate to mind. These are not easy to achieve, very, very difficult. Physical cleanliness, to an extent, yes, we can achieve, but the mental purity, it is not easy to achieve. But we know that yoga is meant for that. Yoga is the go-to. Like, you can bank on yoga to change your attitude completely. Okay, with constant practice and mental perseveration, you can change the vagaries of the mind. You can bring those those knots. You can untangle. You can make the mind clear from all these vagaries. Okay, you can loosen up the mind. That is by building the right attitude, by the right kind of understanding that you give to yourself. Okay, so this is what it is. Is that clear? Sattva Shuddhi. Sattva Shuddhi, bringing purity to the mind, creates cheerfulness, one-pointedness, gives you a control on your senses, then you can also realize your own purity. I mean, the pleasantness that is always with you. Clear? Should we move on to the next sutra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the next sutra talks about the third niyama's result. What was the third niyama? Santosha. Sorry, the second niyama is Santosha. It's not the third one. Both those sutras, 40 and 41, both talk about the results of the Shaucha aspect. One was about the physical Shaucha, then second one was about the mental purity. Now it is talking about Santosha, which is the second niyama out of the 5. So what is Santosha? Santosha is the feeling of being satisfied, is the feeling of being satiated. So when you are feeling that what you have, you're happy with it, that is called as Santosha. Okay, that is called Santosha. So Santosha, Anuttama. Anuttama, the word Anuttama is unparalleled, or it is not matched. I mean, when you feel contented, no other happiness matches that. You're so happy in itself. Like when you feel contented, you don't need anything. That itself gives you immense pleasure. Right? So, Sukha Labhaha is, it gives you a great mental comfort. So with this, you know that we create trouble and we create suffering for our own self by not being satisfied and contented with what is with us and what we have. Right? That is the reality. The reason why we are unhappy, the reason why we are in suffering or pain is we are not satisfied with what we have. We always aspire for something that we don't. That is the cause of unhappiness. And when one masters this Santosha aspect, he is the one who lives a very, very happy life. Okay, so when we realize the absence of the cravings that naturally come to us, then that person is considered to be happy. So if there are no cravings, I want this, I want that, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to eat this, I want to do that, I want to meet this person. Yeah. If these things are not there at that moment, if you're happy with what you have, that gives you immense happiness. That is the result of Santosha. Okay, now terminating cravings is also not easy, right? Because we are so bound to having these desires and cravings that it becomes so integral in our thought process that we want this, we want that, we want everything on the earth, right? So terminating cravings has to be practiced every single day. Like check on how many times you crave for things, how many times you desire for things. Okay, so when you learn to terminate the cravings, that automatically becomes the siddhi that you attain, which is nothing but the siddhi that you get from being contented. Because the sattvas act, the ascendance is there, because a person becomes nishkama, he's not desiring anything, because there is sattva's ascendance. Why he becomes satisfied? Because of his sattvic nature. Okay, he tries to do things with nishkama bhava. His mind is free of desires. Okay, in that state of mind, the yogi experiences immense pleasure. Okay, immense pleasure internally. None of the external pleasures can match up to this. None of the external pleasures can match up to this. So when there is a corrupted thought and a desire for pleasure in life, when those don't diminish, we understand that the person is suffering. Okay, even one goes through the whole lifespan, but they still have these cravings and corrupted thoughts in their head, right? Even at the fag end of life, they still have deep rooted desires and cravings. So for such a person, you know the kind of suffering and pain that will result. And a wise person who understands this and who learns slowly and steadily to abandon such cravings, we know will be eventually filled with immense happiness from everything. I mean, they have it, they don't have it, they don't worry, because they are not aspiring for that. They are not desiring for that. That is not what they are looking for. So their mind is always in sattvic state, and they are doing everything with nishkam bhav. That is the fruit of santosha. Clear?
Ma'am,
Hmm?
Anuttam meaning the unlimited happiness, like,
No, anuttam means unparalleled, means we can't match it. It is unexcelled. This is the best thing.
okay.
Okay. Unparalleled happiness. Nothing can give you such happiness which santosha gives. That is what they are saying. Okay. Nothing else in the whole universe can give you that kind of happiness which santosha gives. Unmatched.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
So we know that unless we realize this aspect, we know that everything that the sense organ kind of interacts with or takes input from, we try to grab that, right? We try to register it, we try to see the effect of that, and we store it in our memory as a pleasure or a pain, right? So for aspects which have given us pleasure in the past through our experiences, we know we crave for those experiences again and again, isn't it? So individual soul is just like a perennial, I can say it's like a thing which affects in the season. If there's that season, then you see that craving. Like there is rainy season, you see that there are buttas all around the corn, the roasted corn all around. So you see with that kind of season right in front of you, you're experiencing certain thing and you feel a craving for something. So an individual soul is always like that. Okay, unless one remains in that samyak jnana, right knowledge, that your sense organ is tempting you, luring you, you will not be able to separate yourself out. Okay, you will be caught by that. You will be caught by that temptation and you will go into it. Okay, and when, for example, if that object that you seek pleasure from is missing, just imagine the state of mind. Like the person will become like a monkey. Like they will lose their control. Sometimes it's like that. Even for grown-ups also it's like that. If they lose something that they have experienced pleasure with, they become mad. So the sutra, why I'm emphasizing it is because when one learns to be happy only because of their internal self, because they understand that their nature is pleasant, by default they are pleasant, and nothing can make them sad. When they know that their true nature is pleasantness, and nothing can make them sad, they understand that all these things are external, nothing is actually necessary, right? For a yogi, nothing from the outside is necessary. All these things keep happening like drama around us, but the one who understands that all these aspects are unnecessary, what I have to bank on is the happiness within me, because my buddhi is of sattvic nature. Originally it has the nature of pleasantness. I don't need an external object or an individual to make me happy. Clear with it? Keep a check on the timer. Okay.
It's 9:41.
Yeah. So are you clear with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The sutra is clear, right? Santoshad anuttama sukhalabhaha. That feeling of contentment is matchless and it gives immense pleasure. That is the benefit that accrues from being contented, happy. Okay, it is unmatched. Nothing can give that kind of pleasure. Now, only when one has perfected that aspect, then they can enjoy that, right? The benefit of it. That's why they calling it as fruit. Only upon the mastery, they can enjoy that. Now, coming to the 43rd sutra, which is the tapah, the next niyama. So we have seen Shaucha Santosha, the third niyama is tapah. Tapa, as we have known it, is the aspect which creates some kind of pain in the body. It's not very pleasurable. It creates some kind of pain in the body. But what we do through tapa is discipline ourselves, right? We discipline ourselves. That's why it's called as austerity. Austerity is putting ourselves beyond the dualities of the world and life. Like we are able to tolerate heat, we are able to tolerate cold, we are able to tolerate hunger, thirst, craving for other sensual objects. So we are stopping ourselves. We are creating a mental attitude by stopping ourselves from getting attracted towards those cravings. Isn't it? That is called tapa. Okay. Putting ourselves in such an austerity where we are stopping ourselves from getting attracted towards those objects which pull us. Why do we fast? Generally, we fast because we want to devote ourselves for I can say we want to let go that feeling for the sake of a deity or a god, right? We don't want to eat having the thought of God in the mind. I'm doing the fast for keeping up the devotion that I have for the deity, right? Actually, we are trying to discipline our body and mind in the form of these austerities. We are creating an attitude in the mind and body to control ourselves from those cravings. So, kayendriya, kaya is body, indriya is sense organs. Through the body, the sense organs, siddhi, ashuddhi. Siddhi is, you all know that siddhi is accomplishment or some perfection that we get. Siddhi is attained when we get some kind of perfection in some aspect. So kaya indriya siddhi, when one attains the siddhi of the body and the sense organs. So through tapa, how does one attain the siddhi of the kaya and indriya? Through tapa. So what is tapa doing? Tapa is removing the ashuddhi. Ashuddhi kshayat, which means tapaha is helping us to remove the ashuddhi, destroy the ashuddhi from the body and mind. Okay, so that the body and the indriyas become perfect. Okay, now you put the fasting aspect in this. If you take fasting as a tapaha, now what are you doing to yourself? You are kind of destroying the ashuddhi. Okay, mental and physical, both. Okay, you're removing the ashuddhi from the body so that your body and your sense organs attain some perfection. Okay, we do simple fasts. Like there are people who might have done a very, very, very intense penance, right? Which is like so many months or years they stand in a certain posture, sit in a certain posture. You have seen pictures of many people who have done such kind of intense practices, right? So those are all tapa only. Okay, which will remove the dirt, the ashuddhi, which will destroy the ashuddhi and also help the body and the indriyas to attain siddhis. Now, by doing tapa, these 8, the siddhis, the ashta siddhis also accrue. They also follow. Because by doing, you might have seen, right, when in movies or in some kind of books that you might have read, somebody having done such a penance is blessed with something, right? So these things happen. That is what is the word siddhi meant here in this particular sutra. So upon the destruction of the ashuddhi of the body and sense organs, one attains siddhis like the anima, mahima, garima, laghima, prapti, prakamya, ishitva, vashitva. Such siddhis are attained by people who do intense tapah. Okay, that is the fruit of tapah. Okay, so a person might be able to kind of master the senses to an extent where he becomes clairvoyant, meaning the power of seeing into the future or also seeing things which other people cannot see, right? One example that is right on top of my head is the commentator of the Kurukshetra war. The commentator of the Kurukshetra war is Sanjaya. So he is the person, the spokesperson for the blind king Dhritarashtra. He gives a live update of what is happening in the battlefield, though he's not anywhere close to the battlefield, but still he gives Dhritarashtra a live update of what is happening. That is what is the siddhi of clairvoyance, is the one that he's using for giving Dhritarashtra the live updates. Even the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna also is very clearly heard. So he has also clairaudience, which means he's able to hear the conversation between between Krishna and Arjuna. Right? So just as an example, Sanjaya has the siddhi of clairaudience and clairvoyance. Okay, which is he's able to see something which the others cannot see, like it's at a distance. It's nowhere close to those people, but he's still able to see everything that is happening there, and also clairaudience. He's able to hear the conversation of Krishna and Arjuna, and he's able to give the live update to Dhritarashtra. Okay, it's just like a CCTV camera, which has both audio and video capability. So the mind and body becomes, I can say, perfect, or they accomplish certain perfection where they can do all these things, which are beyond normal capabilities, normal human capabilities. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll go to the next sutra, which is the 44th sutra, sorry. The 44th sutra talks about the result of the next niyama, which is swadhyaya. So from the previous class, we have learned that swadhyaya is self-study, isn't it? Now, what is the fruit of swadhyaya? Swadhyaya is self-study, and we have also seen that japa is a form of swa-adhyaya. Ishtadevata samprayogaha. When one does self-study, be it through reading, internalizing the scriptures, the Upanishads, the Vedas, or doing the japa or reciting chanting the mantra of a certain deity, all these things are helping the person in seeing the Ishta Devata. They can actually interact and come in contact with the Ishta Devata. That is the Siddhi one gets when they perfect Swadhyaya. Okay, now Swadhyaya means like as I told you, one can do Swadhyaya related to the scriptures, like textual aspects such as Upanishads or reciting some hymns or shlokas, stotras, and silent recitation in the form of mantra japa, okay, of different deities. Like somebody likes some deity and they're given a mantra diksha, so they keep repeating the mantra many thousands or lakhs of times. Okay, so now through these repetitions they are able to get into a state of mind where they are able to come into union with their Ishta Devata. They are able to see their Ishta Devata. They are able to come in contact with their Ishta Devata. It could be Guru also. It could be their Guru also. So these aspects are of two kinds, like the god or the guru, whoever is the Ishta, they can see there are two aspects to this. One is Saguna and the other one is Nirguna. The Saguna aspects, which are like the grosser aspects, which might be the deities themselves or the celestial beings or the gurus who have given them the Diksha, whoever it is. So they come in contact with them. They are able to see, converse with them. Okay, you can relate this with Samprajnata Samadhi that we have seen earlier. Okay, Saguna aspect of the communion with God is the aspect which can be related to Samprajnata Samadhi, where it is a little bit grosser. And Nirguna is free of all kinds of conditioning. There is no quality, there is no shape, there is nothing like that. Okay, so it is beyond that conditioning and beyond all the qualifications that we see generally. That is called Nirguna, which might relate to the Asamprajnata Samadhi. Okay, here it is beyond that conditioning. Now, when one starts to concentrate on their chosen or the Ishta Devata, when such a worship is offered to them, the japa of their mantra, what it does is it kind of helps them in liberating themselves. Okay, so the Ishta Devata helps the sadhaka to get liberated from certain kind of conditioning. So they keep repeating it to such an extent to where the Ishta Devata helps them to free themselves up. Getting it? So this is a very familiar way to most of the sadhakas. They are given some mantra diksha by their gurus, and they keep repeating it so many times that they are able to condition, they are able to free their mind from a certain kind of conditioning. Okay, who is enabling this is their Ishta Devata, or the person or the entity on which they are repeating the mantra. Getting it? So they will empower the sadhaka to move into higher grounds, even into Asamprajnata Samadhi states. Okay. So the mantra of the Saguna, because mantra is something that we can quantify or qualify, or there is a certain kind of conditioning to it. Through the mantras, which are Saguna, they keep repeating it so many times. After having done that, it automatically paves the way for them to get into the Nirguna state, which leads to Asamprajnata Samadhi. Okay, that is the power of Swadhyaya. Now, you might have a thought that is the japa or the mantra repetition or the Swadhyaya aspect related to yoga. Okay, this might be your question. We are not doing anything which is related to yoga here, right? We are repeating, the sadhaka is repeating a mantra, right? But what it is doing to the mind, just think about the state of mind. Okay, there is no other aspect in the mind except that particular mantra after a certain stage, not initially. So initially, as we have seen in Samprajnata Samadhi, one gets I don't use the word confused, but one sees that there's an overlap of these three aspects. What were those three aspects that we have seen in Savitarka Samadhi?
Ma'am, that five karmendriya, five
No,
gyanendriya.
not that. No, not that. Not that. The aspects which relate to the name, Shabda,
Swarupa
Shrutanuma.
Samadhi.
Yeah. No, not Swarupa. No, the aspect of the sound, the meaning, and the knowledge.
Sabdartha jnana.
Yes, those three aspects. They keep kind of interlacing themselves one on top of the other. Like one can appear as a shabda, one can appear as an artha, once it can appear as a jnana. We have seen this, right, in Savitarka Samadhi, right? So those things keep coming up, and mind from that kind of interlacing, it gets to a point where it only will depend on the object itself, artha. It will only bank on the object. It will not go into the sound, or it will not go into the other aspect. Okay, it will not go into the meaning, or it will not go into the knowledge aspect or the name. It will only dwell in the object itself, which is, if we are thinking of a cow, instead of the word cow, instead of the meaning or the knowledge that one has attained about a cow, instead of thinking about those two things, the mind only thinks about the object cow, the living being cow. Okay, that is the only thing in the mind. That is what we have said is nirvichara samadhi, no? Sorry, nirvitarka samadhi, no? I think you all have forgotten that. So,
Yes,
savichara, nirvichara is the aspect where only the object remains in the consciousness. So, these, you can see now what is Swadhyaya doing when we go on repeating certain thing, that becomes a state of mind. Right, so many times, so that the mind does not think about anything else. That is the only thing that remains in the mind. So from Savitarka, it is going to Nirvitarka. From Nirvitarka, it is going to Savichara. From Savichara, it is going to Nirvichara. Then going into Ananda. Then going into Asmita. Okay, it is holding on. It is only doing Swadhyaya of something. Okay, through this practice. So these things, you cannot separate them and silo them and say that this is the practice, this is different from this and that is different from this. You see, these practices are interspersed in such a way where you see the samadhi aspects being brought into many other discussions, right? Discussions where there are other techniques given. Why Sage Patanjali have put down so many aspects? Because samadhi, if there is a way, he could have suggested just one way, right? Instead of giving these aspects, so many aspects. So from the understanding of the commentaries and through my own analysis, what I feel is people's psychology is different. Not everybody works in the same way. Not for everybody, the mind doesn't work in one way. Each one has a different way. I mean, we can't put it that specific also, but in a generalized way, there are certain kind of psyches, and for each psyche, there might be a suitable method. That's why he might have put so many different methods, so that whatever suits a person, he will be able to pick that up and practice it to an extent where he's perfect in that, and he reached his goal with that method. Okay, now whoever is the guru, imagine if the guru knows these aspects very well, the guru has mastered these aspects and he knows the psyche of the shishya, won't he be able to advise what might work for him or not? He would say that this might work for you. Take this approach. This is the path that you have to follow. That is the kind of advice probably which was given to the Shishyas in those days. Okay, so the guru understands all these aspects. Not everybody is the same. Mostly people have different tendencies. Depending on their tendencies, their psyche, the method might be chosen. Appropriate method might be chosen by the guru. So that is what it is. So Swadhyaya Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. So one will be able to get the darshan of the Ishtadevata when the sadhaka does Swadhyaya. Okay, where he is becoming, where he is establishing himself in that kind of awareness. Okay, so okay. So that is about this Swadhyaya Ishtadevata Samprayoga. He's establishing himself in this practice where he's becoming perfect and he's able to have a darshan of his Ishta. He's able to even talk to the Ishtadevata. That is what is given in the commentaries also. That is the experience that one gets. Okay. So here there's not much, but through the other commentaries, the Vyasa commentary and the other commentaries, this is what is given. Like when one does it with such an intent, their Ishtadevata becomes manifested. Okay, the Ishta is not created in the mind. Please understand that difference. The Ishta is never created in the mind. There is nothing which is created in the mind because of putting the mind in a particular mantra, which is like the means to actually experience that state manifests. It is not created. Creation is a different thing. Creation can be done by vikalpa also, but this is not vikalpa. It is not imaginary. It is not something which the mind is imagining. It is a reality. It is an experience which takes place. Okay, I think people who have heard the story of Ramakrishna, life history of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he had many darshans of the Devi because he did a lot of swadhyaya. He might have done a lot of swadhyaya. That is the reason he was able to get darshana of the Devi Ma. So that is about it. Can we go to the next sutra? Will the time permit? Should I go on to the 45th sutra? Oh, are you all there? I don't hear any.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Didi.
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's past 10. It's 10:04.
Ma'am, can we stop, ma'am, please? I don't want to miss the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, it is already 10:05. Please.
Yeah, we'll stop it here. So I'll stop the recording. I hope there are no doubts in today's class. Do you have any doubts?
Ma'am, when you said Patanjali has given so many ways, so can we also say that Yata Abhimata Dhyanadva?
Yata Abhimata Dhyanadva is another method where you can choose your own meditation technique. Like there are so many meditation techniques, Vipassana, Transcendental, Mindfulness, Heartful. So many meditation techniques are there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Depending on whatever you believe in, whatever your belief system says, if you are comfortable with a certain kind of technique, that is what they're suggesting. You go ahead with whatever suits you. But in our tradition, like the Bharatiya tradition, the Sanatana tradition, these advices were given by a guru who is well versed with this. Okay, the guru has seen that path, he has navigated that path. That is why the guru gives the advice to Shishyas. He is taught. Okay, the Shishya is taught by the guru. This is what you have to do. That is why there was Gurukula, Guru Shishya Parampara and all that. They were following it. Okay. So because of the differences in the mindsets, there are so many techniques out there. Now, one is not restricted to only this. And what works for one person might not work for the other person, because the tendencies are different. Somebody who's very emotional, for them bhakti or devotion might work really well. But for the other person who is very practical, for them jnana might work. Right? For a
Yes,
person
ma'am.
who's very workaholic, for them, like work, karma yoga might work. Right. That's why all these aspects have been carefully crafted in such a way where none of the sadhakas go disheartened, or see, there are so many means. It's just that we have to get to the right point.
Got it,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. So should we end it here? Should I stop the recording now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.